The whole point of top-Wiki is to come up with a self-updating science book that's created by the collective intelligence of all of us there in the pale blue dot. And so every generation builds on the last generation. So software is built on hardware, the internet is built on hardware and software. Social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are built on the hardware and software, and then the internet that's built on top of that, and then social media is built on top of that. So top-Wiki is built on the hardware, the software, the internet, and the social media platforms. It's just it's another natural step in the evolution, like WikiLeaks and Wikipedia. And so I don't know. This kind of reminded me of WikiLeaks, Wikipedia, top-Wiki. Basically, like 3 different variations of the same theme. And so the speed of light is 186,000, if I'm not mistaken, miles per second. I forget what it is in meters. This is the heliopause. I was saying mesopause, which is not correct. This is the heliopause, and on 25th August 2012, the Voyager 1 spacecraft exited the definition of our solar system's boundary. And that's the interesting thing about science, is you can play around with the definitions to where something that's a scientific fact, they have a council, people get together and be like, hey, let's change the definition. Now it's not a scientific fact. So don't get caught up in thinking science perfectly describes anything, because it profoundly does not. So yeah, I thought about like our closest star system, Alpha Centauri AB, Beta Centauri, and then Proxima Centauri. And then I thought I'd read a tiny bit from top-Wiki's business plan. Star Trek, as I learned at Liberty University, truly is an unrecognized religion. Star Trek: The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. Gene Roddenberry's USSR Enterprise, and his vision of the United Nations extending out into space, the United Federation of Planets, captured the heart, spirit, and imagination of at least one little boy, myself. Before 9 and 3, or I, die, hopefully we, top-Wiki, can help get mass transit spaceships to hit 90% of light speed within 2 or 3 days on their way to and from Pluto and Mars. I don't think it's a good idea to even attempt to get a spaceship to go 186,000 miles per second inside the heliopause, because we simply don't know what that could do. But once it's outside the heliopause, into interstellar space, I think it's probably safe, just using common sense, to experiment with warp drive. So I was doing the math. It's like 4.37 light years away from the pale blue dot that we're on, this aggregate biological system, and then the system that encompasses it, which, if you wanted to play around with definitions, could be considered a biological system too, because inside of it is a biological system. It's kind of like, it's like if you look at a cell, you wouldn't say like, oh, at what point is a cell not a biological system? Well, it gets tricky. But yeah, so one of the points of top-Wiki too is, just like with my friend Oliver Ellison, after he puts his family first, takes care of them, and puts his health and fitness second, and puts his financial stability third, he obsessively thinks about life extension and doesn't let a single other thing in the world distract him from advancing his understanding of that. And me, being someone with extreme, severe ADHD, and having gone to the rehab and the psychiatric hospitals for 5 months, and when all the other doctors learned that I had completed my PhD education, they just started talking to me like a fellow doctor to doctor. And they said, Nyan, the single biggest thing in your life that will kill every single dream you ever have is your ADHD, unless you get it under control. And we tried Adderall, and every 5th time I take Adderall, it makes me schizophrenic. And so we kind of ruled that out as something that's very practical for me to use. So I do jogging instead of taking Adderall.